key, same as on Kick. When you get banned and unbanned, you need a new stream key. Johnny's stream key didn't change for some reason. Will be a live stream tomorrow. So they're saying he's going to be back on Monday Asia time. That may be Sunday night, who knows, over there in the United States, depending on where you are in the world. But saying that, hey, he would have been back even now if he was able to generate a stream key. And to me, this is not surprising. This is the exact same platform that on their social media, this is on their X account, you can see right here that they advertised streaming crimes in
Oh
real
my
time.
God.
And not only that, but beyond that, streaming the judgment of the court and saying he's going to stream the entire court event from the courthouse. Well, it was made very, very clear that that is very illegal in the Republic of Korea. You're not even allowed to have your phone on, much less to record anything in the court. That is extreme contempt of court and would be punished severely. But, you know, it's all good because content, right? Content.
Hey, yo, it would be funny if they purposely let him get away with it just so at the end they can catch him with it. And then like, oh, you recorded? All right, yeah, bet. Nah, we're going to take this before you were able to upload it anywhere. Or he might have been streaming it the whole time. I don't know. But we're going to take this and that's going to give you some extra time. We're going to really throw the book at you now. You thought you were fucked before. Or maybe you thought you still had a chance to just get off scot-free with like a fine or something. But now you're really fucked. Like, what if that'd be funny if they purposely let him get away with it just so they can throw the book at him like that.
So it turns out that the platform is not only actively protecting him, but knowingly and it seems maliciously undermining Korean law. And I'm all for free speech, but when it comes to,
I mean, party.com, I don't really know much about it, but I wouldn't be surprised if the traffic that Johnny drives causes him to be like one of their top 10 streamers. I mean, it's a streaming site that I'm guessing a lot of people don't know about, because like the big three or whatever would probably be something like Twitch, definitely, maybe Kick, probably Kick, and maybe YouTube, right? But like, so party.com, I mean, probably doesn't have a lot of streamers bringing in any type of like at least over 100. Maybe they do. At least over 100. I could look right now, but I don't really want to go to that site. I'll go to the site. What was it? Party. I hope this is gonna be right. Party streaming site. I don't think that's it. It's it. See, 96, 60. What else we got? Wait, no, I don't see that. Oh, wait, hold on. 19,361. Is that botted or is that just real? Okay, I'll tell you back everything I said. Yeah, it looks like they got some people pulling in some big numbers, if that's real. But yeah. So, but maybe like other people are like, what? What's this one? 114, 98, 96, 60, 60, 57. So maybe Johnny's like, yeah, still one of their top 10 at least, or maybe one of their top 5. If he's bringing in like 100 or more. So maybe that's a reason why they're trying to be so protective of him, or like just promote him in some type of way, shape, in some type of fashion.
Breaking laws actively and knowingly, there is indeed a line. And I was informed, and one of the reasons why I wanted to do this video so well and so quickly, by the way, if you like this, smash the like button, even though it's a premiere, even though it's shorter than my normal lives, is because I wanted to get this information out there to you guys, to everybody, and particularly to my Korean audience. Because as I posted here on X, and this is the message in Korean, if you are a resident of the Republic of Korea, whether that's a Korean citizen or someone with a long-term visa, a business visa, a student, a teacher, a digital nomad, if you have a Korean phone number, you can go to this website. I'm going to put it in the description of this video. It's also under the community tab for my channel. It's also here on X. And you can go to this here website. This is in Korean. Once again, you can play with it over here, and you can report party.com. And why would you do that? Why would you report party.com? Well, there's a lot of reasons. Number one, because they're actively subverting the law. Number two, because you've got illegal online gambling. The platform promotes online gambling, which is prohibited in the Republic of Korea. In addition to Johnny promoting crypto.
So they're not doing it like, oh wait, Steak is able to get away with it because they're not in the U.S., right, or something like that. But they're not doing it like Steak's doing it, because Steak has online. Yeah, Steak has online gambling. I mean, not Steak, Kick. I mean,
crypto, which is very much illegal and prohibited in the Republic of Korea without a lot of regulation and registration with the authorities in the Republic of Korea, on top of all of the other crimes that he shouldn't really be streaming, in addition to streaming police officers in the police station when he shouldn't be streaming that at all. And this platform is knowingly allowing all of these things, the undermining of pretty much the entire legal system in all of Korea. And why would this matter? Well, this would matter is if party.com is banned, then Johnny Somali should not be streaming on that platform at all. And for him to continue to stream on that platform would constitute another crime in the Republic of Korea. And I understand people go out and use VPNs and get around things, but of course, that is a crime as well in the Republic of Korea.
Jeez,
So Johnny Somali, with his final venue, if it was blocked under this regulation, would be further prevented and stymied from continuing his spree across Korea. So I do.
This is also another reason why it's good to know the laws of a country you're going to go visit. Might want to look into any of that, because I didn't really know the VPN thing was illegal in Korea. But it's definitely important to make sure you know the laws of a country that you're going to go visit.
Ask you if you are Korean, or if you know somebody who's Korean, and you can suggest this to somebody who's in Korea. Perhaps even if you've got friends that are English teachers out there. Shout out to my English teacher friends over there. And you've got a long-term number. You can report that for illicit activity and have that website regulated, which is something that can actually happen fairly fast in Korea, and actually can result in some change. I hope you guys like this video. We'll have more dealing with the unban of Johnny Somali. Obviously, he's going to crash out more. Obviously, he's going to descend into madness because he feels like there's no consequences. At this point, it is very clear that Johnny Somali feels like, well, I can just do whatever. I can challenge the police because nothing's going to happen. They're just going to throw the cuffs on me, take me to the station, and send me back home. And we're going to track this as he goes through this process, because, in Korea, these things are stacking, and the perception, even if the punishment isn't immediate, the perception has wildly shifted against this individual who has brought himself back in the limelight in the absolute worst way. Until next time, guys, take care. And I
bet. So, yeah, Johnny, I don't know. It seems like some people are trying to help them of their own accord, just simply because for their own benefit, like the party website. As well, also I'm gonna try to remember to, let's see. He said it was in the comments, right? He said it was in the description. Yeah. The link, his link to go to report party. I'll put that in my description as well. But yeah, if you want to do that, go for it. You know what I'm saying? But it seems like he obviously still no remorse. He still wants to just crash out every night. He still wants to just, he's already in trouble. He's just trying to see how much more he can add on to it. And he doesn't think that does he really not think he has a chance to, like, does he really not think that he's going to just go to jail in Korea for a long time? Does he really think that he's just gonna get a slap on the wrist with a fine and then just be able to leave and go back or leave Korea? Like, is this like, or does he think that he is so screwed that that he might as well just keep crashing out and do as much destruction as he can before he goes into prison for a long time? Let me know what you think in the comments below, because there's got to be a reason for his madness. There's got to be some type of reason for him wanting to willingly destroy his life for a few bucks and 15 minutes of fame. Doesn't make sense. But yeah, excuse me. As always, oh wait, we're gonna check out the Tuesday video. Oh, are we? How much? Hold on, let me see. Let me check. Let me check real quick. Let me see how long it is, because I wanted to see any footage of him like trying to be in the streets and dancing and trying to and you know the crime he actually committed. I wanted to see if there was any footage of that video, but it doesn't look like it. There is not. All right, so yeah, we're gonna end this video here. We're gonna continue the live stream. We're doing some other stuff, but as always, link to the video, link to the channel videos, and link to the channel that we watched will both be in the description below. So be sure to check them out, and the link to the reports site will also be in the description below. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and as always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to do those 3 things I like to ask you to do, and like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the notification bell for more videos. Yeah. And you know what it is after that, in case I don't see you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Peace. Much love to you. All right. 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 The next thing that I wanted to check out was about Assassin's Creed. We gotta go in and talk about Assassin's Creed. Oh, hold on. Let me start recording first. All right, next up, we're gonna go in and talk about Assassin's Creed, because that has been one hell of a blow up, like downfall, failure, whatever you want to call it, because this shit is just rotting in the streets, smelling like straight dank shit. Like, not dank, but not just straight shit. Ew. Like, it's doing terrible. People are saying it's bad. And let's here. Let me show you. We're gonna check out Assassin's Creed Shadows and full damage control as players reject Ubisoft. Now we already know that Ubisoft is trying to like lie about, you know, their players, how many people are playing the game, and they're trying to cover up how bad it actually is, but it's not really working. Also, I wanted to say this real quick. When it comes to hate playing games or like hate watching shows, like when the Velma show came out, like I know there are streamers and content creators that are gonna play the game just to get the content from it and, you know, put out the content. I am a firm believer in like voting with your wallet, your attention, and your, you know, time. So with Assassin, obviously I didn't buy Assassin's Creed Shadows because I don't want to support that shit. Even if it's just for content and hating the game and the whole, I'm going to play this game so you don't have to. There are viewers out there or fans of streamers out there that are parasocial enough to where it's like, oh well, my favorite streamer is going to hate watch this show or hate play this game because they, you know, they're gonna do it just that we don't have to. Well, I'm gonna do it anyway because I want to make sure I'm on the same page of my favorite streamer when they talk about that or when they get to that point. And so things like that's how Velma got a second season too. You know, that's how numbers get inflated when they should not. Maybe not inflated like fake inflation, but like inflated when they really didn't need the inflation. But anyway, I just wanted to put that out there. So I know there are some people who do it for a reason. Like Demion said in his last video that we reacted to, he said he's going to do it simply because so that he can use the footage in his video to talk about the game and so that Ubisoft can't legally do anything about it. But anyway,
Assassin's Creed Shadows has finished its first full day of release and the game is now out in the wilds. I've been playing it myself, and I will give you my honest opinion on what I've played so far as someone who has played pretty much every game in the series, well, minus the side-scroller ones. But first, let's look into what this game has achieved in 24 hours and look at it through a critical lens. This is from Fandom Pulse. Shadows has reached just around 41,000 players concurrently on Steam alone. Some people are touting this as a success. However, if we place this against Dragon Age Veilguard in its day one of release, that game managed to hit around 89,000 players within its first 20.
Isn't Dragon Age Veilguard the one with the or the non-binary dragon chick or something like that, who really made it her whole characteristic that she was non-binary. Like anytime anybody talked at all or had any type of conversation, she would just be like, by the way, I'm non-binary or something like that. Like I'm pretty sure I saw some clips of that floating around. But anyway, Assassin's Creed did less than half of a game like that. Okay, cool.
24 hours on Steam. You don't need to be a math whiz to know the difference in these two player numbers. Honestly, I thought Shadows would skyrocket to at least 100,000 people day one on Steam. I was convinced that this would happen.
I can see that just because it's simply an Assassin's Creed game, as well as, you know, you have what's her name here. So if you and I think, I'm pretty sure I remember correctly, Ubisoft tried to promote the fact that you don't need to play one of the characters. Like you can play through the game with just one characters, when that's kind of, people were saying that's false, because you at some point in the game you're going to need to switch characters for whatever reason. But so maybe some people just wanted to play as the assassin chick and only her. But I don't know. So anyway.
And I was very obviously wrong on that one, and it surprised me. I mean, only 41,000. Really? For Ass Creed? How the hell did Veilguard double the player count and then some? A reminder, Veilguard's—
these takedowns look like trash. Like that knife one, there was like no impact, right? He just and then fell. Like it didn't really, there was no like feeling to it, in my opinion.
One, and it surprised
like,
me.
Like watch again.
Only 41,000. Really? For Ass Creed?
Like he just dropped. He didn't like there was no impact. He just, like, what was that?
How the hell did Veilguard double the player count and then some? A reminder, Veilguard sold about 1.5 million copies once it was all said and done. It was a commercial failure, and then it was done.
All right, I'm trying to listen to into Endymion, right? But look at this takedown right here. Look at this assassination.
Veilguard double the player count and then some. A reminder, Veilguard sold about 1.5 million copies.
Like, the guy starts to stand up and then, you know, just like kind of a weak little, like, what is that?
Copies once it was all said and done. It was a commercial failure, and then it was dumped on PS Plus, where players actually rejected it as well. People wouldn't even play the game for free, and yeah, I don't blame them. There's no way that
okay, I don't know anything about PS Plus, but if people had the option to play the game free, if people have the option to play your game free and they still don't want to play it, also, why put it on PS Plus? Like, are you just trying to boost the numbers of the actual, you know, player base or something for like your own reasoning to make your game look better than it actually is? To try and get people to play it for whatever reason, especially after people bought it, and then you put it on PS Plus for free. Ouch! That's a yikes on the trikes on bikes, my guy. But like, you put the game on the platform where people could play it for free, and they still rejected it. I love it when gamers come together. You know what I'm saying?
Shadows is currently anywhere near a commercial success for Ubisoft, if you ask me, looking at these numbers and more. Of course, Ubisoft did try to spin the story, as you can see here on Twitter, where they posted this. It's not even 4 p.m. here in Canada, and Assassin's Creed Shadows has already passed 1 million players. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts for joining this adventure in feudal Japan.
Didn't you not even pass 41,412 players at any given time?
However, notice how they worded this announcement. 1 million players, not copies sold. If there were 1 million copies sold, they would have said that. But the trick here is that you can play Shadows via their Ubisoft Plus subscription. It's pretty much Game Pass, but Ubisoft games. Anyway, that's definitely a way that people are playing Shadows for less than full price. And of course, Ubisoft is taking those players who are playing it via Ubisoft Plus and then considering them as sales, but it's not even close if you consider how much each player actually costs. A lot of the time, you'll see game companies swindle these numbers by including things like Game Pass or PS Plus numbers into their overall copies sold narrative. Why would they do that? I hear you not asking. It's simple. Because if the numbers look better, they can then slap it on a PowerPoint presentation during their next investor call and go, see? People are buying our games. Now give us your investments so that we don't go bankrupt.
Bro, trying to inflate shit just to look good so you can keep your investors when you were already losing stock. You were already being told over and over again that this game sucks. Like the people spoke before you released the game. As a matter of fact, I'm sure, I think I even heard, let me know in the comments below if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I heard that right after the game came out, like a certain period of time within the game coming out, they did like a hot fix to where that the items in the shrine can't be destroyed, because like the Japanese the Japanese government, like the prime minister, showed concern about that and spoke out about that, and they were like, hey, this is fucked up. They were mad about it, and so I'm pretty sure there was a hot fix or something that Ubisoft did. Let me know if I'm wrong in the comments below. But I'm pretty sure like there was a hot fix or something like that to keep the items in the shrine from being able to break. So you heard the people speaking out. Even the Japan's prime ministers and government started getting into it right before the game came out. And yet you still released it as is, knowing the trouble you were in. You think it would be safer. You think they would think, oh, hey, it might be safer for us to just push back the game again and actually address all these problems that people are saying and people are talking about, especially the historical ones. And since this game is always it's supposed to be historically accurate as possible, except for anyway, you know what I'm saying. But with all of that, they still chose to release the game as is. And I heard the game is just ass and trash. Like, we've already seen how some of the takedowns look, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what, like, the game visually looks great. So it's kind of, you know, it hurts that it sucks so bad and that it's just so disrespectful to Japan in the first place. So, bruh, they deserve their whole downfall.
Everything about executives and how they word things is carefully orchestrated to give the best possible results when they speak, despite if things are actually failing. It's like if you asked someone what they had for lunch and they said, I had a baked bread with beautiful cheese, thinly sliced Italian meats, and a side of delectable beverages.
That's like pizza without the pizza sauce.
And then you go, oh, they had pepperoni pizza. They're talking about
I got it.
just eating pizza and drinking a Coca-Cola for lunch. But that sounded fancier than me just saying what it is, right? Same thing here. Sure, it crossed 1 million. Which, if you've been watching my content on Shadows for a while now, I explicitly stated multiple times in previous videos that I believe that Shadows would cross 1 million copies, not players sold in 24 hours, cause this is Assassin's Creed after all. And it seems even my low expectations have not been met for this game in both its Steam number counts or its actual copies sold. It's kind of astounding that Shadows is just sort of not reaching the heights of previous games. Of course, that hasn't stopped other websites from already doing exactly what I said they would do when the time comes. Here's PC Gamer claiming that Shadows has smashed Ubisoft's previous highest overall. And it seems even my low expectations have not been met for this game in both its Steam number counts or its actual copies sold. It's kind of astounding that Shadows is just sort of not reaching the heights of previous games. What I smashed Ubisoft's previous highest player count on Steam, which was Valhalla, within 24 hours. This sounds great, right? Well, it is if you just believe anything that you see on the internet.
I wonder if Ubisoft paid them for that fluff piece to like fluff them up. Fluff up the image, try to make us look good. You feel me? Here's some money under the table. Just try to make us look a little, you know, just make us look good. You feel me? Yeah. Don't worry about your reputation. Like, we'll handle everything else on our side. Just, you know, go ahead and do that for us. You know what I'm saying? We need these investors. We need these investors to stick around. Make us look good. Yes, sir. We'll write a puff piece on your dick right now.
The reality is that with a quick Google search, you would know that Valhalla released on Steam 2 whole years after it originally debuted on PS5 and Xbox. That game was, at that point, full of expansions and DLC packs and cosmetics like crazy too once it came to Steam. Shadows is the first time an Assassin's Creed game has released on Steam the same day as PS5 and Xbox in the franchise's history. So naturally, because a new game that is being hyped up despite the quality or controversy that comes out around it, there are gonna be those who will still check it out. So of course Shadows is going to break Valhalla's numbers when the majority of people who couldn't wait for Valhalla played it already on PS5 and Xbox when it came out originally in 2020. So you're comparing a 2-year-old product releasing on Steam versus a product that is day one in the same franchise. Look, they tried the same thing with Veilguard. Here's GameIndustry.biz when Veilguard released. Oh, it smashed EA's day one player count for Dragon Age as a franchise. Like, no shit it did, because the previous game in the series, which was Inquisition, as you can see here via Steam database, didn't come to Steam until 6 whole years after it initially released on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. So just like Shadows with Valhalla, the gaming journalists are trying to use selective wording to prove to you that this is actually a success.
So obviously the selective wording is obviously for like legal issues, I'm guessing, and just, you know, they want to make sure they can say that, hey, we didn't lie. We said what we said, but we didn't lie about it. They did hit 1 million players. They didn't hit 1 million copies. No, shit. No, hell nah. But they did hit 1 million players. And that's what we said.
In Veilguard's case, we know that it wasn't. The point here is that what they're trying to push as a narrative is just not going to work on most people. Because they're more informed than ever before.
GFR.
Of course, you'll have the usual websites or the shill Twitter accounts trying to claim that Shadows is actually a success. But the reality is that, like them claiming that it has the biggest Steam release while ignoring history like these types usually do, they'll say that it sold 1 million copies when Ubisoft has clearly stated that players are 1 million, not the copies sold. Again, it's all selective wording, and you need to question everything that you see online, because had I not just showed you the evidence, that I can't make up, by the way, go Google it yourself if you think that I'm lying, you would know that I'm just telling you the truth here.
And also, like, for people who don't actually like look into the evidence or try to read deeper into the what game journalists would publish, then they don't really get that, oh, it's only 1 million players, not 9 million copies. They don't see that, and so they'll think it's good, and they'll, you know, try and go out and look to play the game, which is the reason behind the use of selective wording in the first place. But anyway, on that note of the fall of the Chaos Insurgency, I love that, because like gamers have been saying no to all this, you know, DEI, all this other stuff that has been causing chaos within the gaming industry, the gaming realm, the gaming world, where it's like, we just want good games. Stop trying to make it political. Stop trying to make us accept your views for, or your political reasons, politicians, or whatever. Stop trying to make us accept what you want to push, and just let us enjoy a good game. And so if it's the fall of Chaos Insurgency, then we hopefully don't have to worry about any more forced inclusion or forced anything when it comes to gaming. Because, need I remind you, Yasuke, well, they had like another male character ready, but Yasuke was brought in simply because at the time of this game being a concept, you know, being made, the Black Lives Matter protest was going on, or just happened. And so they wanted to rally behind that and use that as a reason to be like, oh, well, look, we have a black guy. We have a black guy. Black Lives Matter. At the first point, they're supposed to be like historically accurate, but everything is kind of just fictional characters or in this historical atmosphere. Like, the main characters were never historically real. Yasuke is the first real historical character, just because he's black. And the Black Lives Matter protest was a thing. But there's a lot of argument around whether or not he was actually a samurai. And now then they also put him in a Japanese shrine where shrines are, like the basis of the Japanese religion, and he's able to destroy stuff. Like, again, I'm gonna say it one more time. I said it before many times. I'm gonna say it again. If they ever made an Assassin's Creed that was based in like an African country or a country that was mostly popular with black people, and they had a white guy as the assassin going around killing black people, I'd feel some type of way. So I'm not mad that the Japanese people feel some type of way.
They're lying about the success of their video games because they want their slop to succeed when it isn't. Don't believe me still? Here's more. When a game does well, would your stock as a company go up or down based on the performance of your new game day one?
Up.
You would say up, right? Well, in Ubisoft's case, once Shadows released within 24 hours, their stock went down 7%, which is already not good, but this is...
Yo, yeah, the day, like, whoever was up here, y'all should have gotten out there. Whoever got out here, good job. Whoever got out here, good job. Whoever got out here, good job. I don't know how the jump happened back up, but whoever got out here at the top, again, good job. And whoever got out at these small little peaks, good job. Because stay out. You might want to just stay out. Ubisoft is donezo. You know what I'm saying? I don't see any way they can come back from this. With their reputation destroyed, their games are just nobody wants to, or nobody's is wanting to play them anymore. So there's no way they can come back, right? The only way they can come back is like if they made like the best game in the world that nobody's ever thought of, and there is no forced DEI, no forced anything, and the game is just the shit. Like the game is the type of game that would make Call of Duty look like Bomberman or something like that. You know what I'm saying? But Ubisoft is donezo, bro. Oops, wrong button.
Is what I'm saying. You need to look at the cold hard facts here and not just think or believe with your emotions instead. But I mean, I shouldn't be surprised because when I was playing this game that's supposedly a success that has incredible characters like Yaya, the big sumo wrestler lady who would not be a sumo wrestler during this time period at all, and she also sticks out like a sore thumb while you're playing Shadows. She's a well over 6 foot tall, wide back Japanese woman who's also living during a time of famine and war, yet looks like she somehow is able to manage over 3,000 calories a day in her eating habits.
Whoa. In a time during famine and war, you got this fat ass lady that's just chilling. Like, yo, you ain't sharing no food? How are you getting? Are you the one oppressing the people in the village? How are you getting all the food? Are you stealing this shit? Like, what the how are you able to do? Hell nah, bro. That's more forced bullshit. Ubisoft, chill, bro.
I failed to explain here, so let me just go and get my magic orb. Let me ponder for a second here. Let's see what the magic orb has got to say about Yaya. How would you describe Yaya? Oh, magic orb.
That's a huge bitch.
Thank you, magic orb. Very
well put, magic orb. Thank you for that. Holy, and don't give me none of that body positivity bullshit, yo. I think when it comes to body positivity, I think fat people hijack that shit just to make themselves feel good about being fat. I think body positivity deserves to go towards people who are crippled or who have, some type of disability. They should be proud of their bodies. They should have that body positivity. You know what I'm saying? Not fat people who are just like, it's okay to be. No, shut the fuck. How many old ass fat people do you know? How many fat people are in their 70s, their 60s, shit, even their late 50s? How many old ass fat people do you know? Anybody hit the hundreds? I haven't seen anybody like that. You know what I'm saying? Get your fat ass out there and run. Lose that weight.
Very cool. Look, this game, from what I've played so far, let's get into it. Quick backstory, I've platinumed 100%ed Syndicate, Origins, Odyssey, Valhalla, and Mirage, and I've beaten all the other mainline games and even some of the spin-offs like Liberation.
You poor soul to put yourself through that. Yo, can we have a moment of silence for Endymion? You're a fighter. You're a fighter, and we salute you.
So I know this series well. I played Assassin's Creed 1 the day it came out and played it all weekend, and I was obsessed with it. So I
The first three
know
were
how
good.
these games work. I know all the lore of it. Shadows, after having played it for about 8 hours in its first day, I can confidently say that it is absolutely mid in almost every single way so far. From the get-go, you play as Yasuke. Thank God I can turn the blood off so I don't need to gray out my clips anymore. So here you can see I'm Yasuke just massacring Japanese men. Eventually, you play as Naoe.
And that's the first thing you do in the game that's based in Japan. Feudal Japan. I don't know what age of Japan. Sorry, I didn't look that far into it. Probably should have. But the first thing you do is you become a black guy that runs around killing the natives of the country. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. Yeah. Like, and again, you know, if they made an Assassin's Creed in the black country and they had a white guy as a main character, we'd have to have some words, Ubisoft. Maybe you only did that to Japan because you know how nice they are, and they wouldn't act so aggressive as black people are known to act. But I'd feel some type of way if I was Japanese. Shit, I feel some type of way because I just love Japan.
Her dad, who was a real ninja of the time, he was one of the big three actually, tasks her with finding a box in this tomb that can only be opened with the hidden blade. So Naoe gets there, opens the door, and then she immediately gets crept on by a big samurai guy in a suit of armor that she, of course, conveniently doesn't hear coming. And then the first realistic thing in this game.
Man's wearing all that armor, he just snuck up on you. I thought you were supposed to be a ninja, or a kunoichi. Where's like your senses? Like, you just gonna let somebody walk? You gonna let somebody catch you slipping like that? You wouldn't last 5 minutes in the hood.
Game finally happens, which is that Naoe gets knocked out cold by a single hit by this male samurai. This is the only believable moment so far in this entire game, by the way.
I was gonna say that's the only real thing. That's like, that would actually probably happen.
So Naoe gets rocked, the box gets stolen. What's in the box? No idea. I would guess it's probably a piece of Eden. But anyway, Naoe...
Nah, bro, you can't say what's in the box without playing that clip. Come on, Endymion. What's in the box?
But the guy seems that envy is my sin.
Oh, what's in the box? What's in the
box? David, it seems that envy is...
Who's in the box?
Because I envy your normal life.
Put the gun down, David.
It seems that envy is my sin.
Oh, what's in the box?
What's in the box, Endymion?
Is then saved by her dad because she couldn't hear a fully grown man in clanking armor behind her in the dead of night, despite being a shinobi, apparently. She then feels like she failed her dad, which she did, and wants...
You're a terrible shinobi. And get your ass out of here. Go back to training.
To make things right, so she then scurries into the night and finds the samurai guy who stole the box from her at a camp. Here is where the game lets you sort of play around for the first time and get familiar with the mechanics. It doesn't take long to get into the groove of things. I mean, it's Assassin's Creed, it's all pretty standard stuff. Climb.
Also, I know I keep pausing it a lot, but this is a reaction, so deal with it. But it made more sense instead of just her like getting rocked by a dude that in full armor that she didn't hear walking up. It would have been nice if she heard someone coming, was able to hide the box or put the box away, put the box somewhere where it just wasn't out in the open, go and hide herself, and then attempt to fight this guy, assassinate him, but just fail and get, have like a mini fight, like a little mini boss fight where you're not supposed to win. But then she gets knocked out. That kind of probably would have been a better way to go about that. But funny. Nah, she didn't hear shit.
Around, stalk people, although now you can go prone, which is a welcome addition that it's finally in these games. Although, I will admit, the jump does feel very inconsistent, and Naoe routinely doesn't want to jump the way that you want her to jump. For an example, here's me infiltrating Osaka Castle as I keep pressing the prompt for Naoe to climb this wooden block, and she just kind of refuses to grab onto that small part that is left that is clearly designed here for her to grab it. I try a few more times when this is clearly what the risen plank of wood is here for, and Naoe just won't grab it. So I have to abandon this and find another way to get around to higher ground. Here's another moment where I'm on a pirate ship that is outside of Sakai. And yet again, I'm clicking the jump button while facing the way I want to jump, and the game keeps making Naoe either avoid where I want to go, and then makes her jump instead to her death, which definitely made me just groan out loud and then close my eyes in frustration. This happens every now and then, and yes, it's just as annoying the 10th time as it is the first. You would think for a series with this many games in it, they'd have mastered the parkour elements, but sadly, I still think that Unity has the best parkour system in this series by far. Anyways, where was I? Alright, Naoe gets the box and escapes the stronghold, and then she's quickly shot by someone off screen. And then magically, out of nowhere, an entire group of masked individuals who are obviously supposed to be this game's version of like the Order of the Ancients from Origins, they just kind of show up all of a sudden. Why were these important people all just hanging out in the woods on the off chance that Naoe would appear and steal this box? Because the story needs to happen. Yeah, it's ridiculous, I know. Anyways, Naoe's dad shows up to protect her, and then we have this moment where her dad runs in slow motion towards this massive group of clearly armed individuals who have things like guns and bows and more. And they just cut down.
He's got just a sword, right? Is this man like cutting bullets in half, deflecting them, and just like godly with the sword? To where like at the point like doesn't matter if you bring a gun. It's like you can flip the script. Don't bring a gun to a sword fight because I'm gonna whoop your ass anyway and embarrass you at the same time. Like, is he just that good?
Naoe's dad, and oh no, how could they do this? It isn't a spoiler, by the way. This was in the trailer, so relax. So yeah, Fujibayashi Nagato is dead, killed by the evil Japanese group of sinister individuals who enjoy cosplaying and waiting in the woods, I guess. I tried to look up how Nagato dies in real life. He's a real person, by the way, and couldn't really find anything, but for one of the 3 Master Iga ninjas in real life, it's kind of ridiculous that he decided to just rush these people instead of, oh, I don't know, using a smoke bomb or something because he's a literal Master Ninja. Like, hello? But I guess they
had a Master Ninja just run into a group of people. That's some young kid Naruto shit. But teenage Naruto Shippuden, adult Naruto would never do that shit. Shit, even Naruto after passing the first exams, he wouldn't do that shit. Like Chunin Naruto wouldn't do that shit. Bruh, come on. And this guy's supposed to be a master ninja? Well, I mean, now it makes sense that, you know, his daughter got whooped or rocked by somebody that she didn't hear coming up to her in full armor, loud ass armor, clanking sounds and all of that shit in the dead of night with nothing else around her to distract her from hearing this guy coming up. Now it makes sense why she got rocked so easily, bro.
Game needs to happen, so this guy is now dead. They leave Naoe for dead as well, which is stupid because it's giving me Last of Us Part 2 vibes all over again. They should have just iced her, but the game needs to happen. Then you're saved by an old monk and a little boy. These two made me raise an eyebrow, because one, there was a lady who consulted on this game who openly admitted that she specializes and wrote a book about how old Japanese men monks would keep young boys as companions to help them with their tasks, and they would also keep these little boys, how do I say this, for sexual reasons too.
Kind of like Catholic priests.
This is real, by the way. So anyway, when I saw these two who distinctly matched that power dynamic in-game, I kind of just went, oh, hell nah, brah. Is this old guy findangling this young boy in the woods here?
Diddling the little boy, probably. And she put that up there, like, and she knew it. Like, she knew it, and if she was working for you, sounds like she was working for you, but Ubisoft, but like, she just like kind of let that shit slide in.
I kind of just wanted to take Sanjiro, that's the kid's name, to the side and be like, is this old monk guy, you know, is he trying to like abuse you or anything? Do I need to shank this old guy in the throat with my hidden blade?
Has he ever touched your naughty bits? Here, show me on the doll where he touched you.
Because I'll do it. I'll throw this old guy off a mountain like Heihachi does with his kids if I gotta, but alas, there was no option to do so. But it is very weird that they pair these two of all people up, considering how public Ubisoft has been about hiring that Dr. Hori lady who specializes in young boys and old monk relations.
So she knew, and she was working for Ubisoft. Just to make sure we all know, she knew, and she was working for Ubisoft, and she thought it was a good idea to put that shit in there.
I feel gross just bringing it up, but the point still stands, guys. Anyway, Naoe gets better. She leaves the young boy alone with the old man, which definitely just made me cringe when that happened. Like, bro, save that kid. What are we doing? I thought we were protectors of the innocent, but nah. Blah, blah, blah. Eventually, you find your hideout.
Right there, she's asking him, "Hey, is he diddling you?" This kid's like, "Fuck you talking about?" Well, that's why she should be asking him that.
Thankfully, that kid and the monk then show up and join you, which at least hopefully now other people can watch that old man and make sure that he doesn't try to, Anyway, then you're kind of just left to go into the open world. And so far, the open world is fine. I personally prefer Odyssey and Origins open world to this a lot more. While there are parts of Japan that I've explored so far that are pretty on the eyes, when this game is dark, it is dark. I mean, you're seeing the footage here, but when I'm playing it and the game goes into nighttime, dude, I gotta close my windows because I can't see nothing due to how dark this game is. And it also has this weird thing where a lot of the slopes and such and the parts that you think are climbable in this game are actually not. And it's really frustrating because it feels like Shadows is just constantly trying to funnel you into just walking on the pathways that they have in.
Yeah, that completely takes away any type of open world feeling. Like if I remember correctly, Assassin's Creed Shadows wasn't supposed to be open world, but it's supposed to still have like an open world feeling while being guided, on a certain path you're supposed to go through. But to not be able to climb around on stuff like an assassin, like if you were actually in the world, like they do in all these other Assassin's games, or at least in like Assassin's Creed, the first one, to not be able to do that, to see something like, oh, I'm gonna go there, then there, and then there, and parkour there, and to not be able to do that, it's gotta be frustrating, bro.
In front of you, and not really allowing you to find your own way around, if that makes sense. If you played Valhalla, you know what I mean. In Valhalla, you could climb anything, like literally anything. In Shadows, it's far more restrictive, even for Naoe. Yasuke, okay, that makes sense. He's not even an assassin. But with Naoe, you would think, oh, I can climb that, I can climb this. No, you really can't climb what you think you can climb. The game is just constantly funneling you to these roads. And in a game called Assassin's Creed,
Yeah, because you're an assassin. Like, assassins don't just stay on the ground. Like, they climb any and everything and just, like, pop out. You would think they just climb any and everything and just pop out in places you would least expect, just to make sure they get the jump on you and get the job done. This is sad, bro. I'm glad I didn't waste the money to play it, even if it would have been for content or whatever.
I want to climb things, and they're just not letting me climb things the way that I want to. You would understand if you played it, but take my word for it.
I'll take your word.
This game is frustratingly not willing to let you be an assassin the way you want to, at least in its opening hours. Maybe when you get later on in the game, it opens up more and that kind of goes away, but for now, it's definitely a problem. Anyway, the combat. As Naoe, that also just feels bland, I guess. There's really no other way to put it. It's just too simple. You just use R1 to attack, R2 to do like a heavier posture break attack. Besides this, L1 is to block, O is to dodge, and then you hold down R2 and you can use one of your face buttons to do another attack.
Wait, so you can't, I don't know, but can you like use like kunai or like smoke bombs in the middle of an attack to like combo shit? You know what I'm saying? Like you're slice, a smoke bomb, jump behind them, finish them off, and then attack the other people that were behind them, like, something like that. Can you do things like that? Or is it just kind of like monotonous, like just keep pressing the button, okay, block, okay, keep pressing, and then block or counter or something? Like, is it that bad?
And beyond that, that's pretty much it. There's no real variations here.
There's
no
no
way
flair?
so far anyway that I can see that this combat gets more complex or rewarding. I know the inevitable comparison will be here to Ghost of Tsushima, and rightfully so, and having also 100%ed Tsushima back in the day, I can confidently say that it just clears Shadow in every conceivable way. Tsushima has better characters, its world feels more alive and interesting. The combat had different...
Honestly, I'm probably gonna play Ghost of Tsushima like this weekend or something, or maybe like next week.
different stances that felt far more interesting too, and Shadows just feels bland. It just in general is the far superior game to Shadows, despite Tsushima being like 5 years old at this point. It also looks better than Shadows too, but then again, I shouldn't be that surprised because Tsushima also asked the important question, which is, what if Assassin's Creed was good? And that's the biggest frustration I've had so far with Shadows, is that everything I've played is just mid or fine at best. Nothing has shout out to me, nothing feels like it's somehow propelling the franchise forward in any meaningful way either. I guess the going prone thing is new, but like if that's what I gotta praise amidst a whole ass new game, we got a problem, fellas. It just feels like the most 6 out of 10 game I've played all year. The stealth is passable. I mean, I will say the most involved I felt playing Shadows has been the parts where I just find a castle and decide to rob it of all its loot pretty much, but the amount of people within these strongholds is genuinely insane. Like, it took me 30 minutes to clean out Osaka Castle of both treasures and people, and I must have killed like 40 people, I'm not even kidding. And by the time I left that castle behind, everyone was dead, and I mean pretty much everyone, servants included, and yet you wouldn't know that a massive slaughter just happened there, because the world doesn't really react in any meaningful way to you killing either soldiers or peasants. You just sort of kill them, and that's it. The game, as far as I can tell, doesn't even have that mercenary system from, say, Odyssey, where people hunt you at least if you do bad things or whatnot. I don't know, maybe that unlocks later on. I
was gonna say, because like normally if people like notice that like people are dead, tell me he's not saying that. Let's say a guard walks up, notices that another guard is dead or some shit, and they don't do they not do anything about it? Or like you've just finished a mission, but a random guard walks in and notices like the dead people, whether they're soldiers or citizens or whatever. Like, does that not trigger like some chase, like people coming after you? Or am I hearing it wrong?
It's not there yet for me, but so far there's no real crime system or anything like that. And I remember reading reviews saying you can just lay down on a roof and enemies will forget about you because they can't climb, and yeah, it's true. So far, not a single enemy has chased me once I leave the ground floor. You're basically invincible as soon as you add some elevation between you and your enemy. It's actually pathetic that Ubisoft made the game like this and didn't think to give.
Also, that was a good moment to, like, when you said invincible, cut out your voice and just let the of the title being shown happen.
Enemy types that I don't know can pursue you. Maybe they get added later on. I hope so anyways. Because so far, the whole game just feels very milquetoast, mid. You've played this game before. Everything I just explained, even if you haven't played it, you're going, yep, it sounds like he's playing an Assassin's Creed game, and you're right. There's just not a single moment in this game so far that sticks out to me as a big oh wow moment, and it frustrates me so much because Shadows and Assassin's Creed in general, it should be capable of better than this, but this series is honestly just being held back by Ubisoft as a publisher, if I'm being honest. Because Ghost of Tsushima proves that other studios and companies can take what pretty much is Assassin's Creed's formula and just make it better and more involving when the bones of Assassin's Creed are not just in the hands of Ubisoft. And after having played Shadows, it's almost as if there's nothing new here to really say about it. It's just like the other ones, but it's also somehow worse. Odyssey and Origins, in my opinion, are far superior than this game in almost every single way. Shadows doesn't even have the best rendition of Japan that we've seen in games recently either, especially if I then compare Shadows to Rise of the Ronin even. That's another open world Japanese game that came out recently, and Shadows just fails even when compared to that.
That looked pretty dope.
Ronin and Ghost have such better combat systems and exploration than Shadows, it's not even funny. They're not even in the same category. How Ubisoft had 5 years of dev time extra beyond Ghost and landed with this, it's honestly puzzling to me. I know some are saying in their reviews that Naoe's a great character, maybe she is later on, but so far I don't really see it. She's fine for what she is, but there's nothing really visually striking or interesting about her yet. Her design too is just so bland, and I know you're probably asking, well, what about Nosuke? Yeah.
Before he gets to that, he's already gotten too far away from what I want to comment on. But maybe the reason for like Ubisoft having like all this extra time than these other games like Ghost and the other game that he mentioned, but still coming out with such a terrible game, Maybe it's because they're possibly hiring for DEI inclusion in the hiring area. Like, they're not hiring people based off who can do the job well. They're hiring people based off whether they identify as non-binary, trans, black, white, gay, straight, whatever. Like, they're hiring people based on the DEI type of statistics or situation, instead of hiring people who deserve the job and are actually good at the job and and together with enough good people can make a great game for the company. So maybe that's one of the reasons. I don't know.
Sasuke. But besides that opening mission as him, I haven't been able to play as him again yet. I've just been running around the world just doing typical map marker things as Naoe. But from what I've played of Yasuke, he's just like a poor man's Ghost of Tsushima, or I guess Rise of the Ronin character, or any other game where you use a katana or sword to fight with. There's just simply nothing about this game so far that stands out to me when it comes to what I've played before within this genre. And it genuinely just feels like Ubisoft has been completely left behind when it comes to making open world story-driven RPG games. I can't believe that we are now 10 years removed from Witcher 3, which Ubisoft has admitted was the core inspiration for these RPG era of Assassin's Creed games. And yet,
that was a good ass kick though. Y'all see that? He kicked a shit out of that guy.
RPG games. I can't believe that we are now 10 years removed from Witcher 3, which Ubisoft has admitted was the core inspiration for these RPG era of Assassin's Creed games. And yet they still can't seem to match it in any way, like not even the combat even. What are we doing? Look, I'm giving the game an honest try. I haven't ran into any gay or non-binary romances yet. I'm probably too early on for that. But from what I've played, this game is just...
He's saying he's probably too early on for that because Ubisoft has gone on record saying that, hey, maybe not on record, but they've been caught saying that they plan to, like, a Ubisoft insider, like, leaked this or some shit like that. But it was on one of the Endymion TV's videos. But anyway, they were saying that they were going to hide all the DEI inclusion in the game behind a certain point of time to where you can't return the game anymore. That's why he's saying maybe it's too early for that.
A piece of bread, like any other piece of bread that is just fine. It's the kind of game that you will play while listening to like a YouTube video or a podcast, or just put some music on while you just sort of zone out. You know, the kind of game where you stop using your brain and just clear the map little by little to just sort of veg out. We've all been there, I wager. But if you're looking for some big, epic, grand adventure that will test you and change how you see this series or this formula of games, sorry, but that's not here. It's just mid, guys.
The game could have even been used to give a further insight on Japanese history and Japanese culture if they had decided to work with Japan on actually creating a game that has a true basis of Japanese history and culture. But they didn't. They didn't even reach out and consult with them. So there was so much this game could have done, and all it did was spell disaster for Ubisoft. Also, thanks for the Tabby Crib. Thanks for the follow. Welcome to the welcome to the village.
And it doesn't help when Ubisoft employees have said this also from fandom too. Alleged Ubisoft employee says if Assassin's Creed Shadows sells moderately well, we're in real trouble. This Ubisoft employee who said this was sourced by French website BFM-TV. It's the same website that originally broke that story about Ubisoft suing people who will harass their devs or whatever. Anyway, this is what this employee said according to them. If the game does moderately well, we're in real trouble, the employee added. If Shadows sells very well, we'll be able to start breathing a sigh of relief. The employee would go on to provide more color. Already, if it sells like Odyssey, which is the second best-selling game of all time for Ubisoft, we'll be happy. Then Mark Alexis Cody, the franchise producer of Assassin's Creed, was also shown to have said this in the past with how he thinks Shadows needs to perform to meet expectations. When you look at who succeeds, at least in the AAA space, so what I'm going to say applies to like mostly premium games, more traditional kind of AAA games, you have 10 games in any given year that will sell about 10 million copies.
Okay.
The reason I'm quoting the 10 million copies kind of mark is from what I've seen and how I've seen costs, our costs, and the cost of competitors and everybody. Everything leaks in our industry, so you have privileged information on where the competition is going, but mostly I estimate that 10 million copies, give or take 2 million copies, is mostly what you need to break even, but you have only 10 games that breach that every year.
So even if only 10 games that can breach that every year, Ubisoft had to have known that this was going to be their failure. Because like I said before, they didn't listen to anything the people said. At least until the very last minute. And again, let me know in the comments below if I'm wrong about this. But the only time they listened or at least one of the only times they listened, was when the prime minister spoke out about, Yasuke being able to go and destroy the shrine, Japanese shrines, which is like the base of the Japanese religion, and so it's very important and not to be destroyed like so callously like Yasuke did. That and I think Ubisoft went a hot fix that shrines couldn't be destroyed. I think that's the only time they listened to anybody that complained about the game. When players, their audience, the people they're trying to sell the game to, have been complaining about this forever. Like ever since it was announced, ever since even, especially when Yusuke got announced. But they didn't give a shit. And so they have to reap what they sow. I don't feel sorry for them.
Out of those 10, you'll have probably 3 sports games, you'll have 4 games of established franchises, and probably 2 or 3 games that are surprise hits coming from nowhere. But that leaves very, very little room and wiggle room for success, so I'm trying to steer the Assassin's Creed franchise through that. One of those games, by the way, that has done this already is Monster Hunter Wilds. And I can see that Mark Alexis Cody is trying to
I'll be playing that later tonight because I need to catch up.
Steer this game in a direction to have it be successful, but the reality is that the game has already left the top 10 global bestsellers list on Steam and it just came out. And to be frank with you, Shadows will be lucky if it even breaks even for Ubisoft, but from what I've played of this game, it will just go down in history as one of the games of all time. People definitely worked on it, art was made, designers designed things, but it all just feels so constrained and by committee of what Ubisoft wants their games to be. What Ubisoft needed right now wasn't just a win, they needed a truly transformative piece of art that could elevate them and show the industry and the players that they are here to stay. But instead what we got was just another game, like the rest of them, that does all the things you've already experienced and doesn't really offer anything new to justify itself to keep existing the way it is.
Also, it does some of those same things that you've experienced, it does them worse than the other games, as he said before, like with the jumping and trying to scale things and climb around on walls and other things within the game. It's doing the same things that the other games did, but it's doing some of those same things worse. The story's worse, and everything is just worse about it. It's like because they've been on this Assassin's Creed spree for a long time. So it's like when you're fucking for so long and you just get tired. You know what I'm saying? You just get tired. It's been like the sun went down, the sun came up. You just tired of fucking. And so you just like put in these weak ass strokes. You know what I'm saying? That's what they just did.
And if you truly want an open world action game that is set in Japan, go play Ghost of Tsushima or Rise of the Ronin. In my opinion, they're both far superior games and they're also cheaper to buy now than Shadows right now anyways. Shadows is not the worst game I've ever played, granted there's still plenty of time for that to change for me, but from what I've played, it's just another game that you will maybe play in the future when it's deep on sale, and even then you'll think that you still spent too much for it. Ubisoft needs to just let go of its tired, out-of-date design structure, but frankly with how they're going as a company, I don't really see them existing as they are right now if this is what they think will save them. Ultimately, Tencent or whoever else will likely just own them before long. They could have gone out with a bang, but instead, they're kind of just going out with the wet fart. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. I'll have more in the future as there's still plenty more to cover on this game, but for now, this is enough. Thanks for being here, subscribe, I'll have more revelations and such in the future. I'll probably do a non-Assassin's Creed video next, but we'll circle back to this dumpster fire before long, and I'll see you again.
Man, I remember hearing like in Assassin's Creed, Rock Lee is underrated. Rock Lee is very underrated, bro. Taijutsu master, if you feel me. But I remember in that Rock Lee versus Gaara fight, god damn. But I remember in Assassin's Creed, when like the next Assassin's Creed game came out and the next character was like, oh, he didn't need to lose his ring finger just to wear his hidden blade. I thought it was a letdown, and I think I remember a lot of other people were saying that was kind of a letdown because, you know, that's the code, you know, the creed of the code. You gotta take that ring finger away. You can't get married anymore. You're married to the game after that. And that was kind of a letdown. I guess that kind of signaled like the downfall. Like that was the first signal of the downfall of Assassin's Creed Shadow. You feel me? But anyway, that's it for this reaction to this video. Do I have another video I need to react to after this? Let me double check. No. Yeah, actually, I have one more video that I want to react to. One more video that I want to react to, and then we'll play some Monster Hunter's Wild after that. But real quick, I'm gonna go like blow my nose. I'm congested. I can feel it. I'll be right back. Gotta start recording. All right, let's get it. Got one more video to react to, and then some Monster Hunter Wilds. Excuse me. So let's jump right into the last video of the day for reaction. You remember talking about Snow White? You guys remember that? I talked about it a long time ago. I haven't really I didn't continuously talk about it, but I have talked about it, and trying to find something. I'm trying to stalk because I wanted to find something, but Snow White recently came out, and you know for a fact that that was already kind of not. It wasn't. People weren't looking forward to it. It was doomed to fail from the start. Mostly because Rachel Zegler's interviews, where she just kept calling how the movie was weird, and she was saying that the prince was like a stalker, and in this iteration of the movie, there's no going to be the true love's first kiss, not gonna be about the finding love at all. As a matter of fact, they were saying that how the prince, or she was saying how the prince's scenes, the guy who plays the prince, all of his scenes might be cut from the movie, who knows, and she was trying to make a joke about it and shit like that. But she did such a bad publicity for the movie that the movie just burned, crashed. There was so much more that made this movie trash or dead on arrival. There was so much more that it's really nobody's surprise that the movie is donezo. So before we get to the reaction, there's two things before we get to the reaction. One, fit check. So yep, got Invader Zim with Gur up here in the corner. They chilling. They flying through space, and of course, I got this little bear on my jacket, just chilling. But yeah, so that's that. Let me show you the other thing. The king has been dethroned. Dragon Ball Evolution had a 2.5 out of 10 star rating. Snow White has a 2.3 out of 10 star rating. Now I know the movie just came out, right? But the ratings are already done, so it's not like they're gonna change, right? The King, which was a live act, one of the first and worst, not one of the first, I guess, but the worst live action movie of an anime adaptation, has been dethroned. Low key, I'm glad about that. I never watched the movie anyway. I saw part like clips, and I was like, I'm not looking at that shit. This was trash. But I'm just glad that something that came from anime, even though it destroyed, like it tried to destroy the image of Dragon Ball, even it's something that came from anime is doing better than is dethroned as being the worst. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just happy about that. But yeah, let's get to this video that we were going to that we're gonna check out, and the video is titled "Snow White: The Most Absurd Disaster Ever Made." And I'm just kind of like, yo, this like when you see things, it's like, yo, why are y'all fucking with that up? Why are y'all trying to change that for whatever reasons? Like, instead of like changing something that it's a beloved, you know, from childhood times and shit, just make something new. Why do you have to like remake shit? Like, but anyway, like when I see DEI inclusion things or woke things fail, it makes me feel tingly inside, you know?
Well, it's finally here.
By the way, as always, links to the video, links to the channel will both be in the description below. So be sure to check out Moon. Also, subscribe to my channel because your boy's trying to hit 1 million subs, or not 1 million, 1,000 subs. Maybe one day. 1,000 subs by the end of the year. So help your boy out. Let's get to it.
After months of theories about it being cancelled, Disney's Snow White has officially hit the cinemas. The last 2 weeks before a movie's release, especially as one as controversial as Snow White, always seems the quietest. It's like the calm before the storm as everyone holds their breath in anticipation. And it turned out to be just as bad as everybody was expecting.
Damn.
It's a horrendous blend of questionable direction, poor costume design, and just awkward writing. And this all became evident as soon as the first
So much for that 2.3. They were just trying to do him a favor. How much they get paid for that?
song started playing. Because you see, one of the most significant issues with this movie is that they're trying to tell two different stories at once. The first is an ode to the original animation, something that many people felt very strongly about with this movie. Considering the original Snow White was one of the most important films in history, it's what made Disney where it is today and defeats evil through her kindness. It's infused with deeper messaging, appealing to everyone for generations. And now this modern version is just Disney's modern retelling of a headstrong girl destined to lead her kingdom. And this is probably the tuned down version, considering all the backlash the movie has received over the last 2 years. But unfortunately, neither story is told very well in this movie. Now it's easy
all the you know, the BS that Rachel Zegler said in the interviews or whatever about, you know, the original Snow White and about the Snow White movie in general. Like all the BS they said, like that really pissed people off, yo. That's what, hey, this is what y'all get, man. They could have just said, all right, after Rachel, you know, Rachel made that first interview, and after, you know, people were like, hold on, what? They could have just said, all right, no, we gotta replace her. Like, I know they have contracts and stuff, but like for the ones who put that contract out, like there had to be some way for them to terminate the contract, right? And so they could just replace her, like, nah, we need to get that out of here, because the immediate response, the people didn't like it. So that's gonna let me know that if we continue forward, it's highly unlikely that this is going to do good. Because first impressions are important, right? So get her out of here, rewrite the script if you need to, and make it as best as you can in comparison to like the actual original cartoon animation. Make sure it's about True Love's first kiss and falling in love and all that. But nah, they were like, no, this is fine. We need to force this. We need to force this woke shit. Yeah, this is fine. Yeah, we'll make it. We will make them like it.
To pick out which parts of the movie are initial footage and which are just reshoots. And this is mostly because of how Snow White's personality seems to change. For the first third of the film, Rachel Zegler surprisingly seems sweet and naive, reminiscent of the original cartoon, and everything Rachel Zegler seemed to be against in interviews for the movie. And yet here she is, cleaning the castle, singing to herself, and worrying about what's happening in a kingdom she doesn't know much about. And she maintains this personality up until she leaves the dwarfs' cottage. However, it's when she's wandering the forest, and encounters her love interest for the second time, that her personality begins to take a jarring change. Whilst
Dude, dude, the love interest wasn't even in the freaking. Hold on, let me bring things back up real quick. The love interest wasn't even in the freaking the poster. Like, what? The love interest isn't even in the poster for the movie. That's how you know. Like, yeah, he gonna be in the movie. Just, you know, he got like 2 scenes, a couple scenes. You know, ain't really not impactful. You know what I'm saying? Bro, that's so wrong. It's so cold blooded. Why you gotta be so cold blooded?
Still sheltered, she's much more stubborn and outspoken, just like people were predicting Snow White would be based on the actor's original interviews. She also doesn't seem to appreciate how her love interest is framing her. The 2 sides of her personality seem to be at war until the final confrontation with the evil queen. Then she's back to being a sweet, naive girl who happily dances her way through the kingdom. But unfortunately, Snow White's contradictory personality is just the tip of the iceberg with everything wrong in the movie. As overall, it just felt like to me,
you know it's bad. Like, it's really bad when her personality shows through. Like her like when all the things that people have said against her, and you know how all the things that she said in interviews and she's been caught saying in recordings, like how she said, I should be getting paid for every moment I'm in this dress, even if we're not shooting, or, you know what I'm saying? For her personality to show through, that one, that you're supposed to be an actor, you're not supposed to let that shit affect you while you're recording, you know, while you're making a movie. But 2, that shows that it really got to her. Like she's probably donezo when it comes to like the movie business.
most viewers, they were trying to do too much in too short of a time frame. As a result, some parts of the movie are very obviously missing. For example, at one point, Snow White mentions the name of a character we're never actually introduced to. They then try to hide this by panning over to the character in question, but it still feels out of place, especially since the scene in question is used to force romance. But you can't even really call the dynamic between Snow White and her love interest Jonathan as a romance. You see, Jonathan goes from actively disliking her and lecturing her about her privilege to then suddenly taking an arrow for her. But bearing in mind that up until this point, the two have known each other for just 2 days at most. Now, of course, this is often the case with Disney romance stories.
Simp. I don't like her. I don't like her and how privileged or whatever she acts. Blah, 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 blah. 2 days later, oh, I used to be an adventurer once, and then I took an arrow to the knee. Simp.
But these stories are usually always supported by the chemistry between the characters, but Snow White and Jonathan just seem to have almost none. It's just completely forced in for the script. Despite this though, the movie does insist that these two are madly in love with each other. They're so in love with each other in fact that it's enough to break the curse the evil queen puts on Snow White.
Really?
But the whole romance is just way too rushed to ever feel meaningful, and it just ends up feeling flat. There's no interest.
That's because they probably didn't want romance into it. Like she said, I'm pretty sure she said, this movie's not going to be about true love's first kiss. It's not like, which tells me it's not going to be about romance. It's not going to be about true love. It's not going to have any of that. It's going to be about this girl boss bullshit. So of course it's rushed. And of course they didn't actually make it sentimental. They didn't actually make the romance of it like meaningful. There was no connection for the audience to, there was probably no way for the audience to build a connection to them being a couple. Because you know how like audience people do that like if two people same famous people get together, like the people will put their names together just to make like a name to call that couple. You know what I'm saying? So there was no way for the audience to build that up just so they could do that kind of thing.
Intrigue, no new angle between the characters, no depth. They just end up together suddenly because it was convenient for the story. And speaking of convenience, that's the only thing that can be used to describe the climax of this movie, as Snow White faces no real challenges at the end like she's supposed to, despite saying that defeating the evil queen won't be easy. Her victory just sort of lazily curls itself around her hand. The townsfolk who stated to have forgotten what she looks like suddenly recognize Snow White and rally behind her without her having to say anything. She literally just walks into town and takes her hood off.
no encouraging song to like rally the troops, rally the citizens of Snow Whiteville or whatever to gather behind her and follow her to wherever she's going. None of that. Come on.
That's it, there's no rousing speech, no sneaking around to get up close to the queen. She just suddenly appears in a bright red hood and the people are like, yes, this is the princess. And together they suddenly walk to the castle and the queen willingly comes outside to confront her face to face. But
Sounds
she doesn't
dumb.
even look surprised that Snow White is even alive. She just conjures up a dagger and tells her to kill her. But Snow White doesn't move. It seems like she doesn't know what to do now that she's in front of the queen. And you would have thought that she'd have a few more steps to overthrow the evil queen than gather a group of people and demand the castle back. This is as far as Snow White's plan goes. Fortunately, the queen does move the plot along by commanding her guards to kill Snow White, and it's all set up that these soldiers have been hunting the princess to kill her most of the movie, and yet we don't ever really see them outside of the scene and the queen's musical number. The audience is given no reason to ever care about them. It seems the only thing the movie really cares about is trying to prove Snow White's kindness is why she should lead, and the way she shows her kindness to these soldiers is by remembering their names. For some reason, this is
I should be the leader because I'm kind.
It's completely enough for the soldiers to turn their back on the evil queen and suddenly rally behind Snow White. And yet nobody even knows who she is, she hasn't done anything to show them she will be less of a tyrannical leader than the evil queen, and all she does to win is just remember their names. This could have been more significant if we'd seen the queen not bothering to call people by their names, but even that would be stretching things. So you'd think at this point the evil queen would start doing a bit more magic. After all, the movie seems to establish that she is a powerful sorceress at the beginning. Surely there must be more to her magic than her withering roses and poisoning apples. Just anything, even some more aura. Gal Gadot doesn't even seem to care about being this evil witch. The only thing that actually seems evil is that she tries to stab Snow White. But unfortunately for her, the dagger is shot out of her hand and somehow renders her powerless.
All that magic and you didn't even try to like take her out like in a magic type of way. You know what I'm saying? No fireballs, nothing like that. No curses, no nothing. You tried to go with a knife. You're supposed to be a mage. You're classified as a mage, and you're not Sung Jin Woo, so you can't be classified as a mage and be a badass assassin at the same time. If you've seen solo leveling, you know what I'm talking about. But you're classified as a mage. Why are you up front? Why are you in range of physical attacks by the other person?
The queen is then allowed to run back into the castle and back to her mirror, because suddenly her priority when being overthrown is to check to see if she's the most powerful woman in the land. Because apparently when she's being overthrown, the most important thing she can do is check to see if she's the most beautiful woman in the land. The mirror then says no, the queen breaks it just as Snow White enters the
jealous
room.
Bitch.
And this, for some unexplainable reason, is what kills the queen. She shatters and is drawn into an unexplained dimension behind the magic mirror, which then reforms once the deed is done. The whole climax just leaves you scratching your head. You have no idea really what's even going on.
I'm pretty sure it doesn't happen in the cartoon, the movie animation. But I like the concept. You know, you broke the magic mirror and the magic mirror like ensnares you and it was like, maybe you replaced the talking head that was in the magic mirror. I kind of like the concept, the idea behind it, but...
And the main question is why any of this was greenlit in the first place. But this is far from the worst thing about the movie. That honor goes to the Huntsman. In the original cartoon, the Huntsman was one of the most terrifying characters in the movie.
Now
the
what?
moment when his shadow falls over Snow White like an omen of death was bone-chilling, enough to give any child nightmares. He didn't have a large part in the story, but was a very memorable character, and one that added a lot of depth to the movie. But the 2025 rendition of the character just doesn't hold a flame to the original.
Of course
He's
they did.
the least intimidating thing in the entire movie, and it doesn't help that he doesn't seem to know how to hold a dagger properly. He just pulls it out and stiffly points it at her, moving closer with every confused why she throws at him. Zegler's Snow White doesn't even seem remotely terrified of him. She could have easily stepped away from the huntsman and his poorly held knife, but instead she just randomly stands in one place and lets him advance on her. It's like he's stuck in place, nothing moving except his mouth as he instructs her to run into the forest. It's hard to see what the actors were really going for, but the execution was just terrible. At one point,
you didn't even try to... Run into the forest, run away from me. I'm here to kill you, but run.
Near the end of the movie, he's standing in the middle of a room, but the actor just seems so incredibly stiff that your eyes immediately go to him. He looks like a poorly animated NPC and it just looks awful. Not even Gal Gadot, who's been freaked.
It looks like he's about to do like a walking animation where he just... It doesn't go anywhere, just sits there like... And then suddenly he walks into an item or walks into like a pole or something and just... Kind of like on Rick and Morty, where they were just like, yes, over and over again, like the glitch.
frequently called wooden was that bad. But with all of that said, Snow White wasn't just a complete train wreck. There were a few good things about the movie. Most notably, or even surprisingly, was Rachel Zegler's singing. The song she sang definitely seemed to line up with Disney princesses in general, giving some merit to the claim that she was chosen for the role because she could actually sing.
Okay,
and while
good.
the same can't really be said for Gal Gadot, she still has some good moments. Her prosthetics for the old hag were very well done, and seemingly worth the 4 hours in makeup, as it gave some level of realism to the film that would have been completely lost if Disney just tried to CGI the old hag look. But unfortunately, that's kind of it about the movie. It's just a boring, bland mess. Its plot was convoluted at the best of times, and it's just riddled with holes at worst. It's a completely forgettable movie that everybody will move on with and never even think about in the future. But at least Disney finally released this, after 2 years of just awful hype. Even just the last 2 weeks before the film's release was just completely dead. Nobody even cared to speak about it anymore. It was like the calm before the storm as everyone held their breath in anticipation of a disaster. But this wasn't the case with Snow White. If anything, the controversy only seemed to get worse. And of course, their lead actress was right in the thick of it. As the release date of Snow White approached,
You know, like isn't it her fault? Like, wasn't she like the first one to like start all the controversy with the interview? At least that's what I saw. They just had to get someone to talk completely shit about her.
Disney seemed to be doing everything possible to keep its lead actresses apart. Gal Gadot conducted fluffy interviews with various media outlets. Meanwhile, Rachel Zegler was traveling around singing in non-English speaking countries. The reason for this separation came after the two voiced differing political opinions. People could only speculate about what was really happening behind closed doors. However, with no way to confirm those speculations, people turned their attention to Zegler and her solo press tour. You see, there wasn't much coverage surrounding her appearances, as she was very rarely interviewed, which might not be a surprise considering the past interviews she did and how awful this was for the film's reception, but it was still weird. With hundreds of millions going into this movie, why was the lead actress not being interviewed about it? Well, not too long after her tour ended, an insider at Disney confirmed the real reason why. Apparently the studio minimized the number of press questions Zegler received because she was out of control, which is
like, duh. Like, again, I'm surprised they didn't just take her out of the movie. Like, I know there's contracts and everything like that, but I'm pretty sure there was a way for them to just take her out of the contract. But
it's no surprise after her last few scandals.
There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Yeah. Weird. Super weird. So we didn't do that this time.
However, despite the limited press coverage, Zegler had still found a way to upset people. As she realized that people weren't taking kindly to her bashing the original animation, she changed her tune on many things. Unfortunately for her, nothing she says is going to save the film now, not even commending people for their passion of the original movie. During an interview with Vogue Mexico, she commented that it was an honor to be a part of something that people felt so passionate about. But nobody listened to this after her previous interviews, as it just seemed like a desperate scramble to appease those who threatened to boycott the movie, much like Disney's attempts to keep the actresses away from each other. It did nothing to stave off the controversy that was mounting, as there was only so long that Disney could avoid having Gadot and Zegler in the same room, and the studio knew that. However, rather than bring them together for an interview, the studio broadcast just how bad things were at the Oscars. I suppose if you're going to tank a film, you might as well do it in style. During the evening, Gadot and
go big or go home.
Zegler presented an award, and people could immediately tell that something was off. Typically, when celebrities present together, they exchange banter to draw laughter out of the audience. There's some natural chemistry. But with them, there was absolutely no chemistry. Not even Disney could force it. From the moment they walked on stage, they seemed to ignore each other. With polite smiles on their faces,
yeah, they don't even want to look at each other when one of the other ones are talking. Like, look at that shit.
But with them, there was absolutely
look at her?
no chemistry.
If she starts talking,
Not
she doesn't want to
even
look at
Disney
her?
could force it.
So it's a
From the
way?
moment they walked on stage, they seemed to ignore each other. With polite smiles on their faces, they read from the teleprompter and stared right at the camera. They wouldn't even look at each other. It was like they were purposefully avoiding each other despite being on the same stage, convincing everyone that these two people couldn't stand each other. They weren't even playfully pretending to hate each other.
I mean, Gal Gadot is probably mad at Zegler, like, big time. I mean, I know Rachel said something about the thing, something about like the war that's been going on, and I'm pretty sure Gal Gadot took that personal, and like she's like on the other side of the political thing for that. Don't get mad at me before I don't really focus on politics and things that I can't control within my own world. So I don't really know much about it. Sorry, not sorry, but that's just, you know, if I can't control it or do anything about it, then why am I'm not going to worry about it or pay much attention to it. because that's just gonna cause me more worry and stress in my own life, and I don't really need that, to be honest. But not only did that happen between them, but Rachel Zegler probably made her look completely bad, or obviously she made the movie look bad. And so Gal Gadot probably didn't want that, because if Rachel makes the entire movie look bad with everything that she's been saying, it makes people not want to watch the movie, then all the work that she puts into that Gal Gadot puts in for trying to make the movie good and trying to make her, play her role perfect so that the movie can be great, kind of goes to waste, because nobody's going to want to watch it anyway, because after what Rachel said.
Each other either, which arguably would have saved them any rumors about disliking each other. They just pretend the other one doesn't exist until they can get off the stage and sigh a breath of relief. The whole thing was made so much better by the fact that they were presenting the award for Best Visual Effects, and out of all possible categories, that was the one chosen for the leads of the CGI hodgepodge that is Snow White. Whoever made that decision is either clueless or paid off by Disney. But media outlets claim that the hatred between the two is why Disney has cancelled and scaled back the Snow White premieres, along with all the hate online. Which is really crazy considering that Disney premieres have always been massive events. The guest lists are always star-studded, and everyone who can wants a chance to walk the red carpet. Of course, every media outlet in
Of course they had Will Smith there.
existence is there taking photos and interviewing everyone they can. And there's always a premiere in Europe or the UK for those who aren't in America. However, shortly after this Oscar fiasco, the studio took a different approach with Snow White. There was a red carpet, but Disney's guests were asked fewer questions than usual. This was because Disney limited coverage to photographers and a house crew, because what better way to prevent your lead from killing your movie than keeping her from saying anything? The premiere in Los Angeles wasn't the only one affected, but while that one was only downscaled, the one meant to be held in London was just cancelled altogether. The last time a studio scaled down their own premieres so drastically was for The Flash, and that was because of Ezra Miller's criminal behaviour. If that's not a sign that Disney has zero faith in the film's success, then I don't know what is. But impressively, Snow White's premiere was not only the smallest Disney has hosted in years, it's also had the worst numbers for advance tickets. When studios like Disney release a film, they start selling tickets at least a month in advance. Because of the hype that follows these films, the opening weekend showings are sold out within hours. With these huge $100 million+ budgets, you kinda need this, otherwise the film will just bomb. But this time the studio didn't even open advance ticket sales until 2 weeks before the movie was set to release. This was almost unheard of, especially for a film the studio once thought was a guaranteed hit. It's literally Disney's most famous film in the past, and the one that made Disney as successful as it is today. But even more unheard of is just how slowly
how the tides have turned. Like one of the films that made Disney so successful in the back in the day is now one of the remake, quote unquote remake, is now one of the films that could end up being the downfall of Disney. That's harsh, man. Like to go from being the reason of why this was such a success to going to be like this was such a downfall, and it could possibly also end up helping to ruin Disney. Now, obviously, the major difference between those two versions are the employees, and some employees are probably with the new one are probably just like, we got DEI the hell out of this shit. We got wokeify the shit out of this shit. Make sure there's no love story, blah 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 blah, all that type. Like snub the love story out, make it like 5 minutes and rush that shit. Don't worry about it, but make this a boss bitch movie. Like take all the meaning out of the old one. Yeah, just shove this new meaning in. People will love that. No.
they were selling the tickets. The theatres were taking ages to fill up. Smaller theatres had barely filled up after a few days, and the excessively large ones, well, the numbers were just downright embarrassing. A month ago,
What is that? I'm not gonna count how many seats there are, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 15 seats filled out of this entire giant like what? Don't tell me that was the end result. Like, tell me that's like in the middle of, or like there's still like an hour left or so of the movie before the movie is, starts playing, so people still have time to buy tickets. Tell me it's something like that.
The excessively large ones, well, the numbers were just downright embarrassing. A month ago, Snow White was expected to make $65 to $68 million, but as ticket sales have failed to gain traction, those numbers dropped to an estimated $48 to $58 million. This is on par with what The Marvels made on its opening weekend. Analysis have tried to blame the depressing numbers on the age of the original film. Apparently younger audiences might not recognize Snow White because the original movie was released all the way back in 1937.
Parents, this is a good time to do your job and do, parent and take your kid back home and like find the original movie and watch that at home.
But this just feels like a really flimsy excuse, especially when you actually see the movie. The company knew they had to do something drastic to turn this movie around and finally recover the financial loss the movie was destined to have.
How they do that?
So Disney would try to do everything they could to shift the narrative,
Which
is why the morning after the original premiere, it seemed like no media outlet had anything bad to say about Snow White. After 2 years of controversy and people bashing the film relentlessly, Disney had seemingly won the battle. Variety even called it a visual feast. One
When in doubt, buy the press out.
critic called it the best live-action adaptation in years, with people even going so far as to say that this would be fans' favourite live-action remake. All of this onslaught of positivity just made no sense. It came out of nowhere. It was almost like being in a parallel universe where Disney remembered how to write these stories. But unfortunately for Disney, they couldn't control the narrative for that long, as people soon realised the positivity was only limited to the few outlets that Disney had invited to the premiere. And on March 16th, 2025, writers at That Park Place had a very interesting discovery brought to their attention, as it seemed The Hollywood Reporter had quietly attempted to edit one of their articles. The article in question referenced Snow White as CGI dwarfs and how they came to be. This was such a weird thing to do, it managed to take away the spotlight from Rachel Zegler, as according to The Hollywood Reporter, Mark Webb, the director of the movie, had always planned to use CGI dwarfs. Not only was this a strange attempt to make Snow White critics look unreasonable, but this was just a blatant lie. It was like they were hoping people were too stupid to notice the change. But unfortunately for The Hollywood Reporter, someone had actually downloaded the original article as a PDF and immediately brought the change to That Park Place's attention. And it showed how Disney and all these other media companies would go this slow just to try and change the narrative.
The internet is forever. So shout out to those internet detectives that'd be like, nah, hold on, let me go find the original. We getting into this.
Which is not something you do when you're confident in the movie. But as soon as the movie was released and the veil was lifted, all bets were off, and Snow White never stood a chance. The Independent called it lazy and visually repellent, the HuffPost called it a strange hot mess, and the Times declared that Disney had trashed its reputation, and that the movie was a new low both for the studio and for cultural desecration. The Guardian's Peter Bradshaw was particularly harsh, as he called it an exhaustingly awful project, with a tiring pseudo-progressive approach that felt hollow, with everybody everywhere basically coming to the exact same conclusion: don't watch this movie. CBS News even went so far as to say Snow White is firmly the pantheon of films that chip away at our culture simply by existing. This whole film has just been nothing but one problem after another for Disney, and a funnel simply by existing.
Snow White is firmly in the pantheon of films that chip away at our culture simply by existing. People don't even have to watch it. It exists, and therefore it chips away at our culture. And like slowly trying to destroy us. Trying. Damn.
This whole film has just been nothing but one problem.
Hold on, what else to say? Stupidly forcing a story design for animation into live action where it can't help but showcase the shortcoming of one while invalidating the other. Oof.
Chip away at our culture simply by existing. This whole film has just been nothing but one problem after another for Disney, and a final wake-up call that none of Disney's BS will be tolerated by audiences anymore.
Yo, shout out to Moon's channel. He's always got some good videos. Link to his channel, link to his video, both be in the description below, so be sure to check him out. Yo, I ain't surprised. At the flop that Snow White is. It's like when you try to force things on people that people don't want in their content, you get what you reap what you sow. Like, people were saying that this movie's gonna be bad. The movie ended up being bad. People complained about Assassin's Creed Shadows. The Ubisoft didn't listen. The game's doing trash. Game lost money, lost investors, lost stocks, all that. When are corporate executives, when are they going to actually start listening to the public? It's like they have an agenda to try to force things upon us until the us generation, our generation. They're going to continue to force things upon us until our generation kind of dies out, and the younger generation slowly, like the generations after us, grow and age, and then they become more accepting of all the agenda push that they're trying to force. So it's like they're trying to play the long game, and they're willing to sacrifice companies for it. But hey, whatever. Let me know what you guys think about it in the comments below. If you wasted your money going to see Snow White, or if you wasted your money playing Assassin's Creed Shadows, you have my sympathy. But not really, because like everybody knew it was gonna be terrible, or they were going to be terrible. But anyway, yeah, I'm out for now. So as always, don't forget to do those 3 things I like to ask you to do. And well, comment and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the notification bell for more videos. Yeah. You know what it is after that, in case I don't see you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Peace. Much love to you. And I am going to have to end the stream here because I forgot what time it was. I still need to try at least eat. And then I got to get ready. I got to wake up at like ass crack in the morning, like 4 o'clock in the morning, 4:30. But anyway, I got shit to do. So I will have to end the stream here. I wanted to play Monster Hunter Wilds, and I wanted to also like go through my my Instagram and just laugh at things with y'all. But I didn't have time to. So tomorrow I'll have to start with the Instagram thing and then just do that for like 30 minutes or something, and then play Monster Hunter Wilds the rest of the stream to make up for it. So as always, thanks for watching, thanks for stopping by, and thanks for tuning in. You could have been anywhere in the world, doing anything in the world, but you're here with me, and I appreciate it. Peace.